My name is Dre Breezy, and you are now listening to The Breeze. Today's podcast is going to feature someone that many of you probably don't know. Her name is Lady Red Couture, and she was a hugely popular drag queen in the Los Angeles drag scene. But before we get started on Lady Red Couture, I just want to say that this is actually my first podcast, and I want to thank you all so much for listening. Before we start talking about the amazing Lady Red Couture, I think it's important for you guys to know who I am and why I'm doing this podcast. My name is Dre, and I'm 30 years old, and I am a black LGBTQ man. And I'm doing this podcast because I think our country definitely needs a healthy dose of education. I've noticed in the last couple of years, and not even just, I would say, during this administration that we currently have, I would say, at least in the last 10 years that I've been looking around, I've really noticed a lack of education and information when it comes to people outside of, old rich white men that have really made a difference in this country. And I think it's so important to uplift the stories of all the minorities and all the women and all the different people of different ethnic groups that have sacrificed their blood, sweat, and tears in order for us to have certain privileges or certain advantages in life. I want this podcast to solely focus on queer, black, indigenous, Latino, and female perspectives. We want to uplift those heroes because so often they're forgotten about. So often their stories aren't told. And I want to be the one to tell these stories. I think if there's any way that you learn something from this, then that's a job well done. But I also want to use this as an opportunity to educate myself. So this will be a journey, but I hope you guys can just ride along with me, and hopefully we can use this information to strengthen ourselves and to get in touch with our ancestors and that energy, that's that spirit of empowerment. Lady Red Couture, born Karimia Baines, was born May 30th, 1977 in Park City, Utah. She seemed to be the product of a single parent household. Her mother was strict and religious, eventually becoming a pastor. Karimia was always very creative. In high school, she acted in plays and played the trombone and tuba. It seems that her creativity and her, I guess, flair for not really fitting into gender norms caused a lot of conflict and tension with her peers and with her mother. She suffered from homelessness throughout that time. She was kicked out many times by her mother after certain fights and issues that they would have. She received an associate degree from Salt Lake Community College Culinary Institute. In 1995, she moved to Los Angeles and started drag there. She's had an illustrious career at many popular bars such as Hamburger Mary's and Simbar. She started the show Hey Queen with Johnny McGovern in 2014, which is a huge success. It features many popular drag queens from the show RuPaul's Drag Race, as well as gay, bi, trans, influential activists that just do great work in the community. Hey Queen has amassed millions of views on YouTube, and I would definitely recommend watching it. You're probably asking yourself, Dre, out of all the people you could have chosen for your first episode, why'd you choose Lady Red Couture? And honestly, I'll keep it real. I had no idea who she was before she passed away. But upon hearing of her death, I realized there was just such a huge outpouring of support that I had, support and love, that I had to know who this person was. Not to mention, I'm on the other side of the country, so hearing, about a drag queen that passed away in California just is rare, even for someone like me. So I began to do a little research, and I realized that I had discovered a diamond. Here's a clip of Lady Red Couture in one of her auditions for RuPaul's Drag Race. pretty much explaining her general aesthetic.
My whole thing about drag and my persona is positivity. And I always say that at shows and make sure that everyone's having a great time and is interested in each other and loving each other, because that's what we're there to do. We're there to share, we're there to love each other, we're there to have a good time. And that's what I'm all about.
Can you feel that? Can you feel it? I can feel it. You know what that is? That's black girl magic. That's what that is. That's a whole bucket, whole KFC bucket of black girl magic. I mean, every video I saw of this girl, she just radiated positivity and radiated love and authenticity. And I mean, it's just so obvious in kind of how everyone views her, how all of her friends viewed her. There's just something special about this girl, and she definitely was taken from here, taken from this planet way too soon. I want to just speak on the authenticity of her experience because um she wasn't dealt a lot. She I don't know if anybody here has struggled with being on the street, but it's really hard to get out of that hole. Moving to a new location, moving to Hollywood and starting all over, in addition to transitioning. And by the way, a Lady Red Couture without heels is 6'7". So this is a big woman that we're talking about, and this is a chocolate sister, and we know how colorism works in this country. We know how racism works in this country, and people like that aren't aren't looked at as beautiful and aren't treated the same way as the taller, light skinned, thinner women are. So I just wanted to use this platform to give this girl her props for being authentic to herself, being true to herself. And so often in life, just being authentic to yourself and true to yourself can inspire someone else to do the same. I don't want this podcast to just focus on the big guys, the MLKs, the Emmett Tills, the Rosa Parks. I want this to focus on the people that made small differences in the individual face-to-face, daily connections that they had. Those are the people we need to appreciate as well. In addition to an amazing career as a live performance, Lady Red also got some acting credits. She started off in 2011 with Johnny McGovern, Dickmatized, which is a short video. She also did Trixie Mattel in 2011, or maybe that was 2015. In 2015, she also did Judge Lady Red, which was a TV series. And I had the awesome opportunity to watch a movie she did. I think this was also in 2011, called Leave It on the Floor, which is basically a musical. And anybody that knows me knows I stand for a musical. And this musical was it was so interesting. It was like a combination of Paris is Burning, which incorporates a lot of voguing and the ballroom scene from New York City, like the underground ballroom scene. But it also kind of gives me like real strong "You Got Served" vibes. I don't know if you guys remember "You Got Served," but it had Omarion, from B2K. It had like back when they were kind of a big deal. It was like one of those dance movies like from the early 2000s where the plot didn't really matter, but it was just about the dancing. So you just kind of forgave all the stuff that just didn't make sense. But yeah, this ended up being an amazing film, and you could tell it was just, and thing it was low budget, but you could just tell everybody was so enthusiastic about it that like it made up for any of the kind of corners they had to cut with the budget. I'm very grateful I got to see that movie, by the way, and I would actually recommend it. The reviews on Rotten Tomatoes and on IMDb are really, really great because it is a good movie. So check it out. Seeing the death of George Floyd on the internet had a devastating impact on Black Americans. Many of us weren't able to articulate the pain that we felt, the frustration that we felt. And some of us were able to do that. Here are Lady Red's thoughts on the matter.
Hey, it's your girl Lady Red, just here to talk to you for a second. Um, a lot of you know me from Hey Queen, and I appreciate you watching. But I want to let you know something today. Out of everything that I am you. I am a part of this system of Americana. I am the grandson, of a person who came out of slavery. My grandfather, at 13 years old, hopped a train and left his oppression from his slave owner. He was, just like everybody else, on the slave plantation being abused, and he got sick of it one day. And he said, I'm going to do something different. He hopped a train, came to California. When he got here, you know what he was greeted by? An alliance of great people. White, Hispanic, black, mixed. He was welcomed. And he was nurtured and taken care of. Here's a secret you might not know. My grandfather just passed away a couple years ago, and he could not read a full paragraph. But you know how he made it? Because he made it with my grandmother helping him. And all of the kids, we knew he couldn't read. When we would give him cards, we would sit and read the card with him. And we would never shame him because we knew the stuff that he had to go through to make a way for us. Now, what am I saying? I'm saying I'm proud of my heritage. I am a black American trans woman who is making a difference in this world. And all I'm asking is that you love me like I love you. I shouldn't be afraid to go to the store after a certain time because I'm black. I shouldn't be afraid. And neither should you. My call is to everyone, and I mean everyone, because the only way you can make up black is to combine all of the colors in the rainbow. Now I'm making it, and I want you to make it. Let's lead in love, but let's also be very honest. We're going to have to be uncomfortable to be comfortable.
I couldn't have said it better. Lady Red Couture, your legacy will not be forgotten. Your memory will not be forgotten. Rest in power, my queen. A quick message from one of our sponsors. Do you want to be racist yet also stay healthy and free from that nasty China virus? From the makers of Teeny Bottom Bidets and Cookies for Karen comes Confederate face masks. No longer do you have to go through the hassle of taking out that large, cumbersome Confederate flag everywhere you go. Here's a small one to put on your face. They're comfy, affordable, and a gentle reminder to those uppity black folks as to who's in charge. Made out of all-American hand-picked cotton just like the good old days. And lucky for you, we don't just have the Confederate flag emblem. Many of them offer your favorite slogans such as Don't Tread on Me, Trump 2028, and Damn Communists. Holiday seasons are coming up, and this will be the perfect gift for that grandfather that touched you funny when you were a child. Call us in the next 30 minutes and we'll include a free hand-sewn noose. Perfect for Halloween parties and welcoming black NASCAR racers. Call 1-800-BENGHAZI to claim this exclusive deal. Once again, 1-800-BENGHAZI. That ad was sponsored by Bitch McConnell Industries, shredding democracy one bill at a time. So as you guys continue to listen to this podcast and learn more about me, you're going to start to hear about some of my habits and my hobbies. One of my favorite things to do is read. Honestly, some of my most favorite things to do are all pretty much nerdy. As a kid, I loved science fiction. As I grew up, that kind of blew up into science fiction and fantasy. And I'm going to use this podcast as a way to basically put on some of these authors, a lot of them, black women, a lot of them are minorities that have really written amazing, amazing novels that deserve to be, praised. I just finished Children of Blood and Bone, which was written by an African author, Tomi Adeyemi. This is really, really, really a fascinating book. It's like a mixture of Harry Potter and like Roots. Okay, maybe that wasn't the best analogy. Harry Potter and like that Black is King. Oh yeah, like Harry Potter and like Beyonce's Black is King. It's like if those two just had a baby, and a PG-13 baby. It's really more of a young adolescent, or maybe a young adult fiction book. It's not something, if you're looking for raunchy or like rated R or mature, it's not the book for you. The chapters are really short, and I would definitely, this would be something that if I had children, I would read with them if they were interested in something that they wanted to read together. The sequel to this book actually just came out. It's called Children of Virtue and Vengeance. I'm going to get it soon. But I do want to talk to you guys about this book because I think it has some really awesome themes that deserve to be discussed. But you can hear about that on next week's podcast. And speaking of, next week's podcast will feature Marsha P. Johnson, who was a trans activist in New York City during the Stonewall riots. Really, really incredible personality. I've just enjoyed learning about her so much. So stay tuned to next week's podcast. Breonna Taylor's name, I haven't forgot. 139 days since that lethal shot. No justice, no peace. We scream in the streets. We still got kids saying, I can't breathe. Knee on our necks, the oppression is real. White people don't notice, can they even feel? This shit's not a joke. I hope it's a lesson. Kids murdered in school, blood splattered like dressing. 139 days haven't gained an angel. America's still stuck on racism like 90s and Bengals, or the 80s and Kangles. They're like monkeys hooked on mangoes. Shit's gotta stop. So what I want to do with most of these podcasts is end on some type of spoken word or freestyle, trying to, sum up how I feel about today's climate or what's going on in the world. But this is the first podcast, and you know what? Are y'all cool if I break the rules a little bit? So when I was doing my research on Lady Red Couture, I found this song that she had put out. Because, honestly, the girl can sing. This song came out in 2017. It's called The Rent. It was produced by Adam Joseph, and Lady Red Couture does the vocals. And y'all, when I say the first time I heard this song, like, immediately put it on the playlist. Like, this song is a bop. It's a summer bop, and it's about to be a fall bop, too, if you know what's good for you. So let's get ready to party.
Nothing in life is free.
Thank you all so much for listening to The Breeze. This is my first podcast, and if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, like, subscribe, or follow, and stay tuned next week to learn about the legendary Marsha P. Johnson.
Leaves are nothing. You got to have something. You want to be with me. Oh, life is too serious. Love's too mysterious. A fly girl like me needs security. Sweet, but you're